Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight we're going to introduce you to a new angel, one that you may have already heard of before, but after the base 6 that I've done, I've been doing some background work on other ones, so this is the next one that felt important to introduce you to at this time. And the angel is Archangel Chamuel, or Chamuel, depending on how you say it. And this is an interesting angel. As with Archangel Gabriel, Chamuel appears, to me anyway, more feminine, but most people see Chamuel as a gentle, guiding male energy. So when you look up Archangel Chamuel, you'll find one or two images like this one here, of the divine, of a more feminine aspect, but the majority of people see, and the majority of the images that are out there show you this style, where it's the more masculine, the heart is very much radiated, so you've got these more powerful energies coming forward from the male, but it's very much the softer aspects of masculinity is what they usually say. So Chamuel's name means he who sees God, or he who seeks God. He is one of the seraphim, so we're talking really high up in the totem pole here. So he sits in the very presence of the divine at all times. He's up there with like Archangel Metatron and a few of the other very, very powerful angels, because the seraphim are in the presence at all times. It is said that he is the leader of the dominions, and the powers are the orders of angels that he's in charge of. So again, very powerful position within the heavenly realms, and yet this very loving, gentle angel wants to hear you, wants to understand you on a personal level, and will listen to prayer requests and just in general prayers and conversation, because his heart is so open and loving that's one of his tasks. The one thing that is the most common with Archangel Chamuel is the energy of pink, primary color here. Generally when he shows up for me, or if she shows up as she, it's always in a pink robes, pink outfits, and there are some other colors associated with Chamuel as well, but pink tends to be the dominant one. Even the aura color, and generally the aura and the physical are not the same. That is not the case with Chamuel. It generally shows up wearing the more pink clothes, and the energy field, if you just see energy, tends to be very much pink. There are other colors, as I said, and interestingly enough, you'd think pink would be something along the same veins of reds or oranges or something. No, completely opposite colors here. When you see him outside of the normal pink shades, we're looking at colors that tend to be greens and browns, very earth tones. The interesting part is when Chamuel is in the vein of the pinks, it tends to have very lacy, almost fairy-type wings behind, or spreading out, but when you're working with the greens and browns, he tends to have the wings that are akin to an eagle wings. So we're talking very majestic, very powerful, very get your attention type wings. His heart knows zero bounds. There's no restriction for him as far as giving and loving. This is the angel that is here to help us understand what unconditional agape style love is. This is the angel to call upon for resolutions to conflicts, especially through peaceful means, personal, business, even worldwide. That is the dominion of Chamuel's power. Inner peace is another thing that, especially just after Christmas and all the chaos and New Year's and all the fun stuff we just went through, we can use a lot more of inner peace work, and Archangel Chamuel can help us fulfill and find our inner peace. Now, is that going to mean he's going to come in with a magic wand and boop, you have inner peace? No. But he's going to help you understand the next steps, how to tap into that quietness, that now moment, so that you can live more present and not be so caught up in the chaos of the world. The other part that I have kind of found interesting with Chamuel, and he's started to show up a little bit more in my dream states, is finding romantic love, finding partnership with other people. And that is something that he's very keen on, is relationships as well. I mean, he works out of the heart chakra, so of course that's where that goes. But how does Chamuel help when we're talking relationship wise? He can see the connections and ties between all parties involved in a budding relationship. He can see the secrets, deceptions, things that you may not want to be out in public just yet or ever. And he helps unravel these things and bring to light, allowing a relationship to bloom safely or to fade away when truth has been revealed. That does not mean that he's there to, cause chaos, but sometimes when you're like, ooh, that's the perfect person, and you start, getting to know them a little bit more, Chamuel can help you see through any illusion that they're playing, and sometimes people hide big secrets. That doesn't mean they're bad, it's just things that may not be compatible with you, and down the road would cause issues, but he can help you see at least the opening for them in the beginning, so that you can decide, is this something that you can work with, or is this something that you need to maybe let go of? But it's energies like that is where he can help with relationships. That also can work into other ways as well, and we'll get into that in a second. When you are working with Chamuel and you start to work with your shadow, which we all do, the dark night of the soul energy, and when you start to process through it and you're coming out on the other side, there is a phase that I reference, and other people will call it this too, the forgiveness phase, where you have faced your shadow, you understand more about the subconscious, and FYI, you'll do this continuously. You'll have periods in your life where it's the dark nights. You don't have one. I would love to tell you that there's only one, but reality is you're going to have these frequently. Some people have them every 6 months, some people it's every few years, but you're going to go through these dark phases when things that you have repressed, things that you have shoved down, need to come forward and be released because you've grown, you've learned, and it's time to process. When you're going through these periods, when you're coming out on the other side, a way to truly release is the forgiveness phase. That's where you can forgive yourself for things that you've done. You can forgive the other person because you're not letting them off the hook. What they did may not be good, or at least perceived that way, but when you forgive, you release the connection. The cord is no longer there. You are wiser because you've learned a lesson, but you don't have that emotional and energetic connection any longer. And Chamuel is a good angel to call upon to assist in finding that way to open up your heart space, truly forgive, and truly release the hurt, the pain, the connections, and cords. So there's a lot of really positive energy with Chamuel helping with most areas of life, especially relationships. If you are struggling with your divine purpose or understanding your place, which I think we all go through those periods, especially in our modern world where we are told so many things. Oh, you have to be fill in the blank weird new thing. But we've lost our connection to ourselves. We've lost our connection to our communities. We've lost our connection to Gaia and to God because we're so distracted and pulled in so many different directions. Chamuel is a good angel to help you understand who you are, see the illusions for what they are, and send them back home because you don't need those anymore. And this will help you understand the person that lives between your ears. The computer brain is not you, but there is a part of your consciousness that resides in that area. I mean, it fills your body, but most of us associate with our heads. And when we start to understand ourselves in a better position, we can walk more confidently into the world, and that's something that Chamuel can do. Is it's a relationship between you with little y and you capital Y. So it's the spiritual aspect of you, not just the physical computer robot version, which is a way to say it cheaply, but your physical form is not who you are. You have a spiritual energy as well. And when they come together, when you become more of a whole person, it allows you to see through the illusions, and that's something that Chamuel can do. Move my notes around here. So, with that part being said about the inner and outer you, if you're struggling with your spiritual path, because this is another aspect of who you are, mind, body, spirit, and this is something that Chamuel can help with. The mind, the body, and the spirit are three aspects of who you are, and there's a relationship interplay that occurs. Bringing them all into alignment where we're all kind of working towards the same goals is a very powerful and positive thing. When your mind is saying one thing, your soul is saying another, and your body is like, I don't want to, they're not talking very well, are they? And this is where Chamuel can help you bring everybody together in one state. Your relationship with divine God source energy is something that falls under the guidance of Chamuel, because it is a relationship that you build, and I talk about that a lot when we talk spirituality, is you can't work with someone if you don't have a relationship. That's the reason I say start asking to be introduced to the angels. It's not that you have to, it just is better for the relationship to be introduced. Start building some camaraderie. When things start to build and you start to really need help, or if you need help now, you start to understand the angels and their spirit guides at a deeper level with a relationship. And that's where Archangel Chamuel can help you with. And if you're feeling lonely, you can call upon Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Gabriel. Having to add Gabriel she helps a lot more when the stuff is super heavy. Chamuel wants to be more in the positive light and love aspect. Doesn't mean that he can't go into the dark. It's just that tends to be where they're at. Gabriel works really heavily with the emotions, being the archangel associated with the west and water. You can process a lot with these two angels, and so to me, they are the perfect pairing, especially when you are trying to understand yourself, understand another person, or connect into a relationship. Bringing these two on board can help you understand you, but also help you connect to another person. The other thing when I talk about relationships, and this is a broader aspect, Chamuel can help with relationships involving work, like you and your coworkers, you with your boss, you with your employees, however that manifests, with your friends, because there's still a relationship. We've turned relationship into only something for couples. That's not true, because that is a romantic relationship. Chamuel can help with every other form of relationship. And you can also call upon Chamuel to mend relationships between countries, between divided groups, because relationship is a broad term. It means an interaction between two parties. That's how I look at it. And I don't care what the dictionary says, that's how I look at them. So when you're working in that department with relationships of some form, having a higher mediator, which is Chamuel's position, is not a bad thing. That's actually a really great way to bring spirituality, and you don't have to be vocal about it. You literally can say to yourself, Archangel Chamuel, I need some help. We have this situation going on, work, friends, whatever. Guide my words and help us mend this. And that's it. And you don't have to say it out loud. You can literally think it, because Chamuel can pick up on, especially when you start it with Chamuel, it alerts the presence so that they're aware of what you're asking. So, kind of telepathic, if you will. But this is something that you can do frequently to help mend and bond and heal, so that you're not dealing with as much conflict. We all deal with conflict. I'm not going to say you're going to solve it all, but this is a way to help tone it down a little bit. So, in some traditions, especially with Judeo-Christian groups, Chamuel is seen to be the angel that comforts Adam and Eve after being expelled from the garden, again tapping into that heart chakra energy. And he's also said to be the angel in the Garden of Gethsemane who comforted Christ Jesus when he was going through his extremely powerful dark night of the soul. Because in that tradition, that's where Christ was really having all of the sins of humanity placed upon his shoulders. That's a lot, and he felt separation from his spiritual father, God the Father. And so Chamuel was there to help comfort and be like, you're not disconnected. You just can't feel it because you're so overburdened by everything else. So if Chamuel is an angel that comes in at that point to help with a massive problem like that, think what he could do in your life if you were looking for that kind of help. Again, everything is in perspective, but that is the energy field that Chamuel works with. Excuse me. In some aspects of Kabbalah, and I couldn't find one with the Tree of Life, but I found one with the Merkaba, so we'll Metatron star, but this is another example of seeing Chamuel in different aspects. But this is one of the ways, because he does work with Metatron on a few things, not consistent, but on a few things. But in aspects of the Kabbalah, it is said that Chamuel is one of the 7 angels who reside in the presence of the Creator God of all. There's a very high position. Again, when you work with seraphim energy, that's where we're headed. In Kabbalah, Chamuel is associated with Gabora on the Tree of Life, and some say this is a tough love Sephiroth or Sephira, which it is. Don't get me wrong. It's on, I believe that's on the pillar of severity. But it is love in its healthier aspects can be tough if it's pure. This helps us know what a healthy and mutually beneficial relationship really means. When I say love in a tough love in a healthy aspect, it's that disciplining a child when they have done something or going to do something wrong, or if they're doing something wrong and you want to correct an action, it doesn't mean that you're trying to control them. It means, I have been there, I've done this. If you put your hand on the hot stove, you're going to hurt yourself. I'm trying to stop you from doing that. Here's why. Tough love is also that honesty of, does this outfit look good? And it so doesn't. Finding a way to say it correctly where the other person is like, oh, got it. I should find something more appropriate. That is tough love. Tough love is something that people in today's culture are scared of, because love is all accepting and everything. No. No. Love is helping somebody grow spiritually and physically. Love at times has to be a little bit rough, because letting someone just tra-la-la off and you can see the end game. They're going to end up hurt. They're going to end up in a bad place. Tough love is corralling that. Hey, look what's going on. Open your eyeballs. Look over there. So that's the kind of energy that Chamuel works with. It's not, I'm going to dictate to you. It's, I see something else that you're missing at this point. Let me show you what I'm seeing. That way you can make a better decision. And if sometimes you just can't help it, that kid is going to eventually stick their hand on the burner. That person is eventually going to wear the outfit, and they're going to go out and they're going to be like, oh my God, you were right. And that's that tough love part where you have to sometimes just let people make their mistakes. Doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't mean it's helpful, but there is that aspect of it as well. There are some sources that say that Chamuel is the patron of those who survived, can't use that word, unpleasant relationships, domestic, etc. So people who've went through that tend to have a lot more of Chamuel's guidance, because you've been through a lot. Let's help you find something healthy. those who work for world peace, again, when you start looking at actual world peace, and I say that specifically because there are players who claim we're here to help the people. Careful. Because a lot of the times they're here to help their pocketbook. So Chamuel is going to help you understand the people who really are the peacemakers. People like Mother Teresa, and if you're young and don't know who that is, I highly recommend you look her up. She was someone who did a lot. I don't agree with everything that she believed, but she did things to improve people. She did things to help people. And it was, to me, that was something that was doing it for world peace. It wasn't meant for accolades. She became very famous because of it, but that was not her original purpose. She was doing things to improve the planet and help people. And that's the type of person that Chamuel is going to help you support, connect into, maybe even become. And the other people who are those who Chamuel tends to show up for are the ones who are searching for a lost part of their soul. In shamanism, you would have a shaman help you retrieve soul fragments to help you become more of a whole person, and do things along that line, which this isn't a video on shamanism, we'll talk about that later. But when you feel fractured, and having a fractured soul or a splintered aspect of self can happen from trauma, it can happen from physical trauma, emotional trauma. Sometimes it is being in situations over long periods of time where the stress level is constantly up here, that you will fracture parts of yourself and you'll divide, like almost like a personality divide. It's not a mental psychosis, it's more of a spiritual this one's a spiritual thing. But you have people like Chamuel and angels like Chamuel who can come in and help you mend those tears in your soul, bring back those parts that you ran away, basically, because the stress was too much. Chamuel is a very, very powerful healing and loving angel, so there's a lot that can fall under his guidance. There are other people, and this is a little bit of a turn, but not really if you understand what the true belief of tough love is in the Gabora sense. Chamuel will take under his loving wings people who are warriors, especially warriors for just causes, not government political causes. There's huge difference there. He will take under his wing people that are hunters, people who are proper users of the land, not hardcore, don't ever touch it again, but not clear cut everything either. There's a way for humans to interact with land to make it very, very healthy for both, and that's the type of energy that Chamuel works with. If you become extremist on either side, you have literally disconnected from wanting to actually improve things. There is no question in my mind. I have watched it for years. Too far one direction or the other. Hardcore environmentalist, hardcore clear everything out and mow it to the ground. You have disconnected. You don't actually know what you're doing any longer, and it's time to come back to a center perspective. Nature does a lot of reconstructing on her own. And when you start to watch her patterns, Gaia's patterns, you can understand there's a way for us to work within the environment and not destroy it, and that's the balance. Too far one way and you have lost the plot. Too far the other way, you've lost the plot. It goes ego to greed. There's a path in the middle that's best. That's what Chamuel can help with, and that's when I say proper users of the land is that. Selective logging, proper versions of mining where you're taking care of your watersheds, things like that. There are ways to do it, and there's ways to do it very well and have profit, technology, and the land all be protected. So, research everybody. Chamuel also works with fitness trainers, which is interesting, but a relationship between a trainer and their person, especially if that trainer is invested in that person's health, not cha-ching, but their health, they're going to want to help that person. And a good trainer is going to help you figure out your diet and your exercise. Through the process, may end up guiding you in a way to improve your mental state as well. Nothing is an island when you're talking physical, personal improvement. If you improve your mind, your body improves. If you improve your body, your spirit improves. If you improve your spirit, the other two will come along as well. Everything works together, relationships, and that is where Chamuel's gift is. This one, I have to say, is kind of a fun one because you don't think about it this way. Chamuel also is a patron for people who prepare food or provide food to others. Preparing food, especially if you're a chef or you're a cook or something along those lines, you don't think of it, it's a job. This is what you do. It may be a passion, but this is what you do. What you're not, and most people aren't aware of this, but so we'll say it out loud. When you prepare food and when you provide it to another person, these are forms of loving relationships. You are putting your heart energy, your soul essence into your food. When you prepare it, you are then offering it for another person's improvement, nourishment, fill in the blank, and whether it's for a paycheck or not, it's energy exchange at that point, and that you have to have that. But that is a form of Chamuel's relationships. That is an aspect of a loving creation. So even if you thought you're just flipping burgers, not really. There's something more to there if you look at it from, again, a broader perspective. And then also the care providers, whether that is someone you're at a nursing home, nurses in general, doctors, herbalists, counselors, people who even work in health food stores who are helping people understand their own health. Those are care providers because you're providing a service because you care about the other person. So that's all Chamuel's energy field. So even if you think you're not doing something important, you probably are and just don't realize it. And that's actually good because that means your ego's out of the way. So when you feel a boost of confidence or you feel comforted by doing something like this, this is a very good sign that Chamuel, or one of the angels in this sphere of life, is close. His presence brings the energy of peace and compassion. He helps you release negative energies, helps you release the past, and helps you work with integrating your shadow. If you feel wrapped in pink light, that is another sign that Chamuel is near, or that someone is asking for Chamuel to intervene for you. And prayer has a huge effect on people. And so when you're going through life, and if you're sensitive to energy and all of a sudden you feel that warm pink kind of wrap coming around you, pretty much guaranteed that someone is praying for your well-being, and Chamuel answered that call. Going along with that, there are those that say Chamuel is the angel of the pink ray in the light spectrum colors. So there's a lot of positive energy with this color. Rose pink especially is classified as a divine color. There is some legends that say at the end of an exorcism, when it's successful, the room will smell of pink roses, because each rose has a little bit different scent, but there's something very specific with that one, and they will generally sense a pink energy in the room. So you've got a lot of Chamuel energy coming in when you're looking at things like this. So, because everything has to have a crystal for me, because I love crystals. If you enjoy working with crystals, you can use things like amber, ruby, of course, rose quartz. It's the heart energy stone. It's great for that. Red jasper, bloodstone, because it's green with red flecks, and it is very much about blood health, heart health. So working with that one is another great stone for Chamuel. Carnelian and pink tourmaline. Generally speaking, if it is a pink colored stone, it is one that you can work with Archangel Chamuel. There's like rhodochrosite, and there's a few other ones out there that you can work with as well, pink being the dominant colors. You can also use various agates or clear or white quartz, because chemically they're not much different. Energetically, same thing. They both are enhancers, and they're both a universal crystal for angels. So there is that. And if you do the altar work and you have that set up, you can use different incenses and foods. Fall tends to be very similar to Chamuel's energy, which in even the wheel of the year, the 8 primary Sabbats, the fall is where it's really focused on the family, the home, love, connection. That's your autumn equinox, Mabon. You've got even Samhain is very much about family, and Yule, again, very much about family and connection. So those 3 are the primary ones that I associate with Chamuel's energy. And when you're working with an altar, you would decorate it accordingly. Pinks, hearts, roses, but you can also add aspects of cinnamon, various baking spices, cloves, nutmeg, allspice, rosemary, thyme, things that you work primarily with in that time period. You can also have like small pumpkins on your altar. You can decorate it with apples. Interestingly enough, the fall leaves are not the colors that you would use, but you can use the baking spices and seasonings. So, something to think about. And basically anything with roses is a great way to work with Chamuel's energy. So, with that, we'll wrap things up. Have you had any personal experiences with Chamuel? If you have, if you're comfortable with it, drop those in the comments below, because it's always fun to learn and grow. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this, and then, I have one more thing here. When you want to really introduce yourself to Chamuel, again, pink candles, rose scented incense, oil diffusers, however you want to use that, and just get into a quiet place. If you like crystals, grab one of the crystals that I listed earlier and hold that and ask God, Source, Divine, however you see, the creator of the universe, to introduce you to Chamuel. And then allow yourself just to breathe and be quiet. Slow breaths in, counts of 4, exhales, counts of 6 generally, so you're really bringing your energy down and calming. And just allow yourself to feel. A good indicator that Chamuel's there is you'll get a sensation of warmth, like you're being hugged, or you'll get an image of something pink floating. Sometimes you'll physically start to see, especially third eye see, a physical version of Chamuel. And just really allow yourself to be there. And if you have the connection the first time, you can ask, various questions, introduce yourself. Focus on your relationship to yourself. What is it that I need to, how can I improve? Where am I at in my spiritual journey? Things like that. And as you start to build that relationship, you can start to work with Chamuel in other ways, helping other people, praying for other people, even praying for world health is a great one. But there's a lot of different energies you can work with Chamuel. So that's a good way to start, though, is just take that moment, have something rose scented, pink candles. If you can be outside, even better. As with Gabriel, if you can be near water, Chamuel's not associated with water directly, but the energy of emotions and relationships is associated with water, so it's a good way to help just kind of allow your mind and body to settle and quiet, is to be near a body of water. Of course, if you're in the north right now, it's cold as all get out, so everything's indoors. That's why I'm talking like candles, rose scented stuff. Other than that, I will let you guys go. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.